See Samuel in Germany.
What's N?
Hello.
Hi, Samuel.
Hello. So it's a general question more than anything.
Okay.
I mean, if we look at religions generally, I mean, they have a few idiosyncrasies, so to speak. You have two beliefs, there are certain creeds, certain basic beliefs. There's also costumes. You have to dress up in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It has this extremely strong in-group versus out-group.
Right. The conformity.
We're the believers. We have the truth, whereas people who do not belong to this group are ostracized somehow, sometimes in a worst case, dehumanized.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's, kind of a tribal thing that I think a lot of people have. Sports kind of brings that out. You root for your team, and the other team, they're terrible fans. They don't deserve to win, blah, blah, blah. You see it in more than just religions.
Right.
This
Nationalities.
is a great segue into my question.
Okay.
The question. So if we look at the West, both in Europe, South America, and North America, what we traditionally call the West, I mean, religion is taking more and more of a backseat.
Right.
But however, one thing that I noticed that I see in the United States, that I see in Brazil, that I see in Germany, that I see in Italy, and so forth, is the rise of semi-cults. And I would say, for example, Star Wars. People have this absolutely cultish fascination with Star Wars. They dress up. They, for example, when a certain movie sucks, they get extremely offended because you've violated the canons of their beliefs.
People obsess over things.
In a certain way, in a certain way as well, you see it with a devotion to politics, for instance. So I don't know about you, but for example, here during the refugee crisis, it was impossible to have a discussion about this.
Yeah.
You're either pro-refugee or completely against, and we were unable to have any sort of nuanced discussion about the topic. And this harps back to what I see for example, in Brazil, what I see in the United States. So my question is it possible that by having essentially eliminated Christianity, are we witnessing the emergence of substitutes?
Well, I don't know.
Might be just as nefarious.
Yeah.
What do you mean substitutes?
I'm not sure this is something that's necessarily religious. It may be that people are identifying with a tribe, identifying with a particular identity or position, and they may be shutting themselves off to more nuanced discussion or new evidence. I see that as part of what it means to be human. It's one of our negative traits as humans. We all do that.
Right. It's kind of like we don't know. It's a scary world, and there are people that can hurt you. And so what we try to do is try to identify people based off of something to determine if that's a safe place to go or if that person's safe to be around or whatever. And so that's completely understandable if we do that in a bigger scale. But if we start doing things like limiting Christianity, then we're doing exactly what we don't want them to do to us. I mean, the whole reason that America got started is because they were sick of religious persecution.
Yeah.
Right? Like they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and that's what created the West. Right?
In a way, yes.
So we have to do more things like this, have conversations with people that disagree with us and try to learn how to get along and say, hey, you're extremely different from me, and that's okay. Let's hang out. Let's get a coffee and talk about different things. Because I personally think it's fascinating to read books about people from different countries because it's hard for me to wrap my mind around. I grew up in a town of about 100 people, so anyway.
But there are lots of people who are frightened of alternative viewpoints.
It's scary, and I get it. But for the most part, as a person who came from a very sheltered 100-person town, and then my senior year of high school moving to the middle of St. Louis City, I had a little bit of a culture shock, and it was scary, but I figured it out. We're humans. We're resilient. We've evolved this far. Let's just figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, Samuel, are we getting at your issue?
Kind of, but it's more. It's more. Is it possible that? So, in a sense, you said that religion kind of stems from some sort of tribalism. What if it's the other way around? That there's a need for tribalism, and religion answered it.
Maybe.
And by trying to remove religion, is it possible that we will see?
I do think there's maybe causation both ways. I can see.
I'm just wondering if this whole movement might backfire in ways that we have not foreseen.
That's very possible.
Oh yeah.
In a sense that the lack of belief. Great. Okay, we no longer believe that this is the truth and so forth.
Right.
But are we still culturally Christian?
Does that? I mean, does it matter?
This is my question.
Yeah.
I think so. It's a question. It's a question that I'm wondering. I don't have the answer.
Okay.
I'm smiling because I'm remembering. There's been a set of 3 South Park episodes where they made fun of religion. They make fun of all the different things, and they made fun of atheism by basically saying, well, even in the future when we're all atheists, the kind of the point of it is there will still be infighting among the different brands of atheism and tribalism and all this, and I don't know that atheism is going to be the solution. I think it may be part of a solution, but it's certainly not the solution.
I don't think that there is a one answer solution.
No,
I think it's just something that we've been doing for thousands of years, and we should just keep going. But I remember being very offended by South Park.
What about, for example, having extreme doubts about the veracity of claims made by religion? However, embracing sort of the cultural aspects of the religion.
Do you think there's a problem with that?
I'm not too threatened by that, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm not either.
Things fade over time. The culture moves, and so maybe in 100 years it'll be a different thing we're worried about, or the what we're concerned about now is going to be passé.
But we're not going to tell you that the earth is going to end in brimstone and fire in 20 years.
Yeah.
So.
Stay away from those menstruating.
No, but I think because I think we come from different points in the sense that we have very few these evangelists like Joel Holstein and so forth on our side of the ocean. Very few.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a lot of crazy here.
But especially in the Protestant side of Germany, I mean, it's very moderate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't know anyone who's a churchgoer that will, for example, shun one of their kids for having premarital sex.
I mean, you can get that in one house in a neighborhood and not that in the next one. I mean, it's so different here. Yeah. It varies from person to person, house to house, city to city. I mean, it's so different.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much for bringing that up. I think that's an interesting
Thank you for your call. We're going to move on. We've got a couple more callers, and we're going to run out of time here soon. So thank you.
Thanks, Samuel.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.